Hello, in this video I'll be taking you through my experience with religions in my hometown. I grew up in a wealthy suburb of Chicago called Wilmette, where most people are white, well off, and either Christian or Jewish. The main reason my town today is lacking in religious diversity is because of redlining. In 1934, the National Housing Act was passed, which created the Federal Housing Administration in response to the Great Depression, which caused a fall in home loans and ownership in the 1920s and 30s. Chief economist of the FHA, Homer Hoyt, mapped out cities and divided neighborhoods into different risk categories, which were based off his list of ethnic hierarchies. My town and nearby towns were all focused on white, rich Christian homeowners. Even though redlining occurred many years ago, the effects are still very present. New Trier Township High School, my area's public high school, which includes Wilmette, Kenilworth, Glencoe, and Northfield, has only a total of 24.8% of the high school's population being in a minority group of either Black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific Islander, or a combination of races. The rest of the school, which is 75.2%, is white. The overall towns also have an overwhelming white presence as well. This influx of the white race forged the overtake of popular white Christian religions. The dominant religion in Wilmette and surrounding areas is Christian, with popular branches being Protestant and Catholic, but also Mormon. The Jewish faith is additionally very present. A nearby town called Skokie is actually 28% Jewish. Growing up, I believed there were three religions in the world: Christian, Catholic, and Jewish. Since then, I've traveled and been exposed and learned about many more. However, given my surroundings, it made sense that I thought there were only those two religions. When I searched on Google churches near me, 17 in my immediate area popped up. And when searching synagogues, about 15 came up. Finally, I searched temples just to see, and only 2 came up. I also asked my friend, who is a practicing Protestant, what she thought of our town's religious diversity, and she explained the high Christian presence.
Growing up, I went to church relatively every week when we could, and went to Sunday school, but it was more of like a social aspect than anything. Like a lot of the kids I was friends with, I also went to church with, and my parents went to happy hour. Like it was a lot of like the social aspect of church that we were more interested in.
Yeah, nice. Okay, and do you feel like you grew up in an environment that was religiously diverse?
I don't think like diverse is the word I'd go with. I think there were different offshoots of Christianity were the main religions that I encountered, with like Catholicism and then like Presbyterian, but also some people that were like Baptist or anything, or Methodist. And then we did have a lot of friends that were Jewish, but I feel like those were the two main ones, with Christianity even dominating over Judaism.
I want to discuss something special and interesting about my town, which is the Baha'i Temple. The Baha'i faith was founded in Iran and teach progressive revelation, which is the idea that religions are inherently one and God progressively reveals truth through a series of divine messengers. For Baha'is, this means figures like Krishna, Buddha, and Jesus were all divine messengers. And Baha'u'llah, the faith's founder, said there will be a new messenger about 1,000 years after him. These words of the founder included that all nations should become one in faith and all men as brothers, that the bond of affection and unity between the sons of men should be strengthened, that diversity of religion should cease and differences of race be annulled, said by Mirza Hossein Ali Nurti, who is also known as Baha'u'llah. In the early 1900s, there was about 3,000 Baha'is living in Chicago, and Baha'u'llah's son, Abdul Baha, then leader of the faith, gave his permission to build a temple in Chicagoland. It is said that Wilmette was chosen because the land was cheap and it was in a beautiful location right on Lake Michigan. Chicago was also chosen because it was the location of the world's Parliament of Religions. After living in Wilmette for 9 years, it wasn't until I was about 14 that we finally decided to go into the temple. For my town, it had actually become a popular picture spot. I even took my 8th grade graduation photos there, and I also remember meeting there at 5 a.m. when initiating members on our swim team before we went to the beach across the street. We finally decided to explore the faith when my grandparents came to visit, and we wanted to show them this interesting temple a few blocks away. Upon learning about the faith, I feel that my family really valued and agreed with the aspects the Baha'is valued.
And what did you think about the Baha'i faith before and after visiting?
Okay, so before, I thought that it was probably a bit rule bound and had a lot of like guidelines on its faith and how to be a participant in that faith. But then when we visited, then I realized and was educated that it's actually rather open and accepting of most, if not all, and it is just almost very free. It seemed to me almost one of the most freeing religions I had ever encountered.
The carvings on the 9 exterior pillars reference various world religions with symbols like the Star of David, crucifixes, and the Islamic star and crescent. The gardens contain both rectangular approaches and circular gardens, reflecting both Eastern and Western influences. I am lucky to be so close to this religious monument, and I wish I had explored it more when I was young and had given it more respect. Unfortunately, my county has seen many, many cases of anti-Semitism. There is a high Jewish population, but they are still a minority. I took screenshots of many cases of anti-Semitism that have occurred in my town and neighboring towns recently. Sadly, many of these cases do not make major news stations. I also want to discuss the Highland Park shooting of July 4th of 2022. The police have released that they are unaware of the motivation behind the shooting, but many have theorized it was actually an anti-Semitism attack. My hometown is often referred to as a bubble. Inside the bubble, people are well off, happy, and ignorant of the real world. It is a shelter that keeps people from seeing and experiencing new things and cultures. Chicago is an amazing hub for diversity, and I'm so glad I was able to go into the city often, but it wasn't until I was in high school when I could go into the city on my own that I finally gained true understanding of diversity. The bubble is safe, and I understand why my parents chose to raise their kids here. But after growing up and moving away to California, I am just amazed at how many different religions and people are able to coexist in one place. I'm so thankful I get the opportunity to now live in the state of California that is so diverse in so many aspects. One final fun fact is that the church used in Home Alone is a church very close to where I live, and my family and I actually attended services in Sunday school there for many years.